Hi guys, welcome to GemmaBeaMakes. I'm Gemma and this is my crafty channel where I talk about all the things that I've been making over the past couple of weeks. I tend to talk about knitting, spinning, crochet, sewing, dyeing, quilting, anything that takes my fancy at the time. Today I'm going to talk about all of the jumpers I've ever knit for myself. Over the last couple of episodes I hit a milestone that just made me want to reflect on the jumpers and things that I've made in the past. I thought I'd start with the first one that I ever knit for myself, and I just work down and just talk a little bit about what I've learned from each one, if anything, which is my favourite, which I wear the most, which doesn't get worn, how things have worn. And I thought maybe you'd be interested too. So I'm going to start with my very first knit that I did for myself. Oh no, I knew that was going to happen. I've already wrecked my tower. My very first knit that I knit for myself, it is the Zweig by Caitlin Hunter, Boyland Knitworks. This was the first time I'd ever bought myself some indie dyed yarn from a luxury base. It came all the way from America. I was so excited to receive this yarn. It's from Hey Sister Yarn Co. when they were dyeing yarn and doing their podcast. And I don't wear this one anymore simply because I felted it. It's not actually as bad as I always think it is in my head. In my head, I felted it, it went in the wardrobe and I don't wear it again. But yeah, you know, you've got that chair in your bedroom that's kind of full of clothes that you've just kind of worn for a couple of hours and it's gone over the back. And after a while, you need to sort out that pile of clothes. Like, is this clean enough to put back in the drawer? Does it need to wash? And eventually I just kind of grabbed the whole lot and shoved it in the washing machine, not realising this was in it. So it got washed at a non-regular, like 40-degree wash, just in with all of my coloured stuff. And the neighbour has just taken right now, as I sit down to record this, to decide to wash her car. She's right there. Anyway, she can watch all the nice jumpers too. So it got put through the washing machine, and it just didn't. It made, I don't know, all the lace wasn't as nicely laced. It all kind of felted. The shoulders all got put really out of shape. But actually, because it's lived in the wardrobe for so long, it'd been in a naughty corner. You got felted. I don't want to see you again. You've upset me. It's kind of folded up in the bottom of the wardrobe. But actually, now that I've got it out, it's really not that bad. I did find a hole in it. I was very annoyed at that. It doesn't look like moths. It looks like I've caught it on something and not realised. So I'm going to have to fix this hole. And you can kind of see it as well. It is quite pilled. Again, it got put through the washing machine. I think I did try to de-pill it and I had to pull it apart. Like, all the inside had felted together and I had to pull the whole jumper apart. But I think now that it's out, and it's not as bad as I thought. All the back is all kind of felted together, but it's still really soft. It's still really warm. I might give it a soak and just give it a little bit of an extra condition maybe, and see if I can't just remedy it a little bit, because actually I think I might be able to save that a little bit more than I thought I could. Yes, so my first lesson in knitting yourself a jumper is don't put it in the washing machine, you idiot. Or you can, but just make sure you put it on a wool wash. Going into my second jumper that I ever made for myself. This is the Shepherd's Purse Tee by the Crochet Project. And I crocheted this t-shirt out of my friend Esther's hand spun yarn. It was in like a gradient. I don't know if you can see that. It was like goes into It's like 3 different colourways. It's the same fibre on 1 ply, spun with 3 different colours of silk. It's really drapey. It's actually much warmer than I thought it was going to be. I wanted it to be a really airy, summery t-shirt, which it is, obviously, but actually the fibre, because it's still very warm, so it's quite a nice layering piece for autumn and spring. I just got this back out again, actually. I haven't worn it again this year. It went away in the autumn and it's not warm enough for winter. But I just got it out the other day and I will be wearing it this spring. So this was, like I said, crocheted in Esther's Handspun. It has fluffed up a little bit as you've been wearing it. And it's kind of got like a really fuzzy halo to it now. Which I really like. This is probably, I really enjoyed crocheting this, and it was one of my favourite yarning memories because I'd crocheted it and then went to meet the girls from the Crochet Project, Joan and Kat, and we took pictures together and she was super chuffed. Well, she was happy to see me being happy in her designs. So that was really cool. We got to meet up for the day. It was nice to feel like it was the start of my journey to finding all my fibery people, the people that make the community that we're all part of. It was the first time I felt part of that community. So it gives me lots of good vibe memories, this top. So I'm glad that I got it back out again. I'll be able to, it makes me feel part of something, which is pretty cool. The third jumper that I made myself was this Tanya. This is the Tanya by Caitlin Hunter of Boyland Knitworks. It's got this really nice lace detail at the bottom, and then it's got quite a plain tee with a drop shoulder. I really remember enjoying knitting this pattern. The yarn is from Northshire Yarns, and it was, again, one of the first times that I went to go buy yarn in person. Northshire Yarns were having a trunk show at Yarn Etc. in Harrogate, and it was the first time I kind of got to go along and squish and play with yarn, and I'd bought quite a few other ones. And this particular colour, it's a merino cashmere again, and it was all on offer, and I remember thinking I could get 3. If I got 3, there was 3 left, I could make this top. And I think I was more excited the fact that I'd found 3 skeins of hand-dyed yarn for a really quite a reasonable price, and I'd got this particular jumper in mind. I was like, right, I'm going to pair them together. However, I don't wear this top anymore. It fits really nice. It is a little bit tight on the armhole, so I wish I'd kind of I've got bigger arms anyway, so knowing that, I probably should have, if I was to make it again, I'd make sure the arms were a little bit wider. I don't wear it simply because it's not my colour. I think I was really excited about, like I say, finding the yarn, and it's really nice to work with. And I kind of like the pooling, to be honest. It pulled all the way through. But again, the yarn doesn't really show off the lace. I think you need a kind of a solid colour if you're going to do a lace. And this kind of variegation doesn't really show it very well. I mean, you can still see it. It's still pretty. It's still nice. And it's a really nice jumper. But I just don't wear it. It's not my colour, and it's sat in the it's sat in the naughty corner with the Zweig. So I might actually see if any of my family members would like that one, because it does seem a shame that actually it's quite a nice fitting jumper. It was knit well. I really enjoyed doing the pattern. It just doesn't suit me. I'm not a pink girl. I'm just not a pink girl. But I really do want to knit the jumper again, actually, because I think if I could, obviously I'll give myself some bigger arms. get something with a really nice drape to it and a nice solid colour. The pattern itself is really, really nice, and the fit of how it fits is nice. So yeah, that is my outtake of that. Just make sure that when you're knitting lace, the yarn doesn't overtake it, and yeah, make sure you're going to buy yarn that actually suits you or that you actually like, rather than just being cheap. So my next jumper, now this was one of my favourite knits that I've done. This was my own design using the Strange Brew book by Tin Can Knits. So they have a book, I've talked about it lots in the past, and it's a sweater recipe. You take your own sized yarn and you make your numbers and make a jumper that's going to fit you. It's a brilliantly written book. But this was my first foray into spinning my own sweater. So I'd started spinning. I was really, it was the first time I'd bought, again, from the Yarndale, I'd bought a rainbow braid from Spin City, and it's this rainbow. So it was a rainbow braid of fibre, and I spun it into this rainbow. I remember thinking at the time I had no idea what I wanted to do with it. One of my friends recommended doing a yoke of a sweater, and I thought, yes, I'd got the book, again from Yarndale. I'm going to make my own sweater. I also dyed my own yarn for the solid colour, well, the semi-solid colour. So it's the first time I'd dyed yarn for a sweater, the first time I'd spun, and I paired them together. I am a huge, huge Coheed and Cambria fan, which is the band symbols all the way down this jumper. It is still one of my favourites that I wear to this day. I remember running out of the grey, and I had to spin myself another rainbow to put a hem on. I needed it that little bit longer, and so I got this rainbow and I spun the rainbow. Recently, it came undone at the bottom, so I must have caught it on something, or I don't know if it's just my ends had come undone, but it started to fray across the bottom, and I kind of had to just catch each stitch. I didn't lose any, it didn't go anywhere, but I just kind of caught each stitch and tied it off. So actually, just on that little bit of the hem there, it's not as stretchy as the rest, and it's all just kind of caught in a little bit of a mess. I don't take very good care of my clothes, apparently. When I'm wearing them. I think we all do that though, don't you? Your clothes just get caught on stuff, or you're washing up, or you know, stuff happens, stuff gets in the way. But yeah, this was my first foray into spinning myself a jumper. I loved doing this. It was brilliant to be able to start at the very beginning of a project, right from the fibre, spinning it, dyeing it, designing it, knitting it. Absolutely thoroughly enjoyable, and I wear it all the time. It's one of my favourite jumpers to wear throughout the winter. It's really warm. It's really warm around the chest because you've got that colour work yoke, that extra bit of fabric, but actually it's just a sock yarn for the sleeves and the body, and it gives you that bit of it's just like the perfectly warm. It's one of my favourites. It's one of my favourites. But it gave me that enthusiasm for spinning a jumper. I wanted to be able to spin a jumper right from the start, right until the end, which is what I did with this one. This is the Jupiter Crop by Caitlin Hunter. And this was probably one of my favourite projects to plan. So I really enjoyed picking out all my colours. Again, I picked the colours out at Yarndale, I think. Yes, I did. I picked them out at the same Yarndale. And they are all fibres from John Arbon Textiles. So I'd picked 5 colours to go together, to spin up together, and then Caitlin Hunter, Boyland Knitworks, had released this pattern, and I thought they would go really, really well together. Again, it's a lot of enjoyment. It's a very long process of getting yourself a jumper, but because you take part in each section of it, the picking, the planning, the choosing, the spinning, and then the knitting, and then the wearing. Yeah, lots and lots of fun. I learned a lot from spinning from doing this jumper. The fibres that I picked, they weren't all the same. They weren't all the same fibre. I can't remember what they are off the top of my head, but I know there's a couple of different blends of different fibre in here. This like oatmeal-y colour, I overspun, and you can tell I overspun it. And when I knit on it, it feels like rope. But I think it's the same fibre content as one of the other colours. And at the time, I didn't really know why it felt different. I do now, hindsight. I've overspun it. So it does have that like little ropey texture to it, and it does look different. However, the biggest problem with this jumper is this. That is under my armpit. So I must at some point spun. You can see how fine the yarn is that I've spun together, and it's under the armpit. And instead of kind of felting together, it's just worn away. I do have some more of this green that I can, but I have no idea how to start fixing that, because it's on the armpit. The knitting goes like 3 different directions, and I think the only thing that I can think of doing is just grabbing every single kind of live stitch and doing some sort of, I'm gonna have to learn how to darn, and I don't want to. I just want it to be fixed, or I'll fix it. But I'm gonna have to, because it took me a long time to do this jumper, and it's been sat on my fixing table for quite a while now. But I wanted to show you guys, the hazards of spinning too fine. I think I've spun the yarn too fine, and it's just the wrong placement. Because you can see some of the other bits of this wool have like fluffed up, and they're wearing really, really well. It definitely needs, oh, I'm gonna sneeze. There is so much fibre flying around here today. It definitely needs a good depill. In fact, all of these jumpers need depilling. But again, I wanted to show you guys how they've lasted at least over the winter, because most of them I depilled, washed, and got ready for the winter, and now they all need washing again and depilling and putting away properly for the summer. So I didn't want to depill them before I showed you, because I thought you could actually see how the yarn wears. It's definitely fluff balls, but for a hand spun jumper, I think I'm really impressed with how little pilling it actually does. I thought it'd do it a lot more. All the fibres, all the short fibres usually come to the surface and make those little pills, and I thought that there'd be lots of them, and there's just not. So yeah, it taught me lots about spinning for a jumper, but it also brought me lots of enjoyment as well, and it also brought me lots of leftovers, which I'll show you in a minute. But the next project that I did was this Hoodie shawl cardigan by Suzanne Sommer. Now, this project is the most expensive mistake I've ever made. So I knit this as part of, it was a little bit of a knit along that the girls in my knit group were doing. They were all taking part in knitting one themselves, and I wanted to join in. It was just as lockdown had kind of started. I wanted to join in, and I had yarn, so you needed so many different colours and so much of it, and I had all this really, really lush alpaca silk cashmere from Northshire Yarns. And I thought, I've got the yarn, and all the girls are doing the pattern, I'm going to join in. However, I did not think about how it drapes. So it's a super luxury alpaca cashmere silk. It has got the best drape, any yarn. It would be the perfect shawl yarn. However, I didn't think about that. Now, the way this is constructed is that you make yourself a big shawl at the back, and then you pick up stitches for the rest of the body, and it's got a big hood on it. Now, this yarn, I just look crazy now. This yarn pills so much. It pills so much. It's it's cashmere. So cashmere has got a really, really short fibre staple length. So it does pill, and it does pill quite easily. But usually, once it's pilled and you've depilled it a few times, it eventually stops, because all those little sharp fibres are all out, and it's done. But this just seems to go on forever. I've depilled this so many times, so I don't feel comfortable wearing this out of the house. It doesn't look smart at all, but it is so comfortable and so warm that it is definitely my snuggle in front of the TV kind of wear, but it doesn't leave the house. It looks scruffy, and because it was such a luxury yarn, it was so expensive. I can't remember now how many balls of yarn it actually used, but it was lots of different colours, and it was quite a high price point yarn. So yeah, I like to call that my most expensive mistake. And it taught me that all different fibres have different, basically when you're knitting, you're making a material, and if the material you make is nice and flowy and draped, that would have made a beautiful Tanya. That I should have swapped them round. That's what I should have done. If the material you're gonna knit is going to be super drapey, maybe don't do a jacket that's supposed to have quite a lot of structure, because it literally is just stretched over time and just become, it's become what it is. It's a mess. That's what it is. So yeah, it's very comfortable, but not at all wearable outside. Which comes to my next jumper. This is probably my favourite jumper. No, maybe on par. It's number 2. It's joint first. This is the Shifty by Andrea Mowry. The Shifty sweater by Andrea Mowry. This was so much fun to knit. It is so wearable and it is so warm. So this jumper was knit out of all of my hand spun scraps. So most of the scraps that came from the Jupiter crop and all my other hand spun bits that I'd had in my stash and had done projects with, or that I'd just as I was learning how to spin, I'd accumulated lots of different scraps, and it's just my favourite jumper. It's so soft. It's actually like, but I think it's probably because I've worn it lots. It's softened every time that I wear it. Now you can probably see again here is that oatmeal-y colour that's overspun and looks like rope. There's that lesson again. But it's really quite an oversized jumper. I did want it to be a big oversize, with lots of ease. And when I made it, I remember thinking that actually I'd probably knit the sleeves too long, and I was going to pull them back by about 4 different rows and then put an extra, like a tighter cuff on it. But since I've worn it all winter, I'm not doing that anymore. I like the sleeves how they are. They're really nice and big and baggy. It's definitely one that I gravitate towards when I'm getting chilly. Like, oh, I feel a bit cold, I'll go get a jumper. This is the one that I would put on. It has definitely been the favourite. I think I would probably make another one of these when I get more scraps of fibre, or more scraps of yarn. Definitely very wearable, super warm. I think I've gone on about it a bit more. One little thing here, if you can see that, I think because I'd got them all out and I was looking through my jumpers, I got a hole in this one. I've caught all the little stitches there. Can you guess which yarn it is that's split? It's the same yarn. So I think, yes, it's that same green that's split on the other one. So I think in places I just must have spun it really, really thin, because you can see where it's split there. Tiny little ply. So that's the biggest takeaway that I need to take away from this, is that don't spin, just because you can spin thin doesn't mean that you need to. And if you do spin really fine, put more plies in it and give it that extra bit of strength. That's what I've taken away from that one. So the next on my list, so what are we at, number 8? So jumper number 8 is it's got lots of hair on it, is the second time I knit the Zweig. So this again is the Zweig sweater by Caitlin Hunter, and I used my own, again I dyed the blue, the dark blue, and I spun the colour, the main colour. I omitted the lace detail out of it this time because I really wanted to. I learned from the Tanya, don't knit lace in different colours. It didn't show it off, so I omitted the lace. I did do the colourwork detail, but then I remember getting through it and thinking, oh, what a waste of this yarn. I'm just going to add it in anyway, so I added it in until it all ran out. Yeah, I really like this jumper. This is one of my most worn jumpers. It fits really nice. It is quite thin. So I think, I can't remember what needle I used on the sock yarn. I think it was a 4mm. Yeah, so it's quite a lightweight jumper, but I love this jumper. I think it's absolutely brilliant. And in fact, I liked it so much I made another one. So this jumper is, again, the Zweig. This is number 1 jumper, or that's on par with the Shifty number 1. So how devastated I was about the first time of felting my Zweig with the Hey Sister Yarn Co. This brownie colour, this golden colour is Hey Sister Yarn Co. in, I can't remember what the colourway is actually called. Drizzle. It's called Drizzle. It came up on a D-stash on Ravelry, and I saw it and I needed it and I needed to buy it because I thought it needs to be a Zweig that's not all felted. The yoke was Beehive yarns, and I just thought it all went together. I knit a size bigger, so I have this one. This is one size bigger than this one. This one does fit. It's very but it's very form fitting, and it fits, and it's snug. It's comfortable. Whereas I just wanted a little bit more ease, so I knit the bigger size on this one. I'm glad I did. This is the first time that I knit the pattern detail, the little 1-stitch cable into the body. As you can see, that's the wear of the underarm. So it's been a full year since I made this. I think I made this did I finish it in the summer of last year? I think I did. And I've not de-pilled this once. Oh, you can see I've caught there. So that's the wear. You can see it does need a wash. It's definitely ready for the wash now. But this has probably been my most worn jumper, along with the most worn as like an everyday item. The shifty is one that I grab when I'm chilly and I pop on. So I wear it a lot because you know, it's England and it's cold. But this was the most worn as an item of clothing that I'd wear every day. It's lovely. I love it. I love it. Would I knit another one? Yes, I'd knit another 5 because it fits really, really well. And I think it suits. So my last jumper is my stripes. I've really forgotten what it was called then. I was calling it my crowned crane because, guys, I talked about this so much. This, again, was a jumper that I spun all the way. So I spun all the yarn. I took inspiration from a day out at Howard House. There was some wildlife. The crowned crane. I took its colour inspiration. I found the colours. I spun the colours. I knit the colours. I wear the colours. I do like this jumper. I don't really like this neckline, but it is a very comfortable, very kind of airy springtime, autumny jumper. I didn't really wear it much through the winter, but simply because it's got short sleeves. So, and you know, it's cold, isn't it? You want sleeves, and it doesn't really, can't really wear anything over the top. It's a little bit chunky to put like another cardigan over the top of it. So, yeah, so I haven't really got much wear out of it. The yarn, the fibre that I spun was Corriedale, and it is a little rough. It's not the softest towards your skin. It's not itchy in any way, but it does feel a little bit rough. But the shifty has me thinking that the more I wear it, the softer it's going to be. So again, this came out of the pile of hidden away winter clothes, no, springtime, summer clothes, and you know, spring has sprung. The sun is out. England is about to have a little mini heat wave, and it's going to be like 17, 18 degrees or something tomorrow. I'm really looking forward to that. I could definitely use some sunshine, some vitamin D. Hit me, please. So, yeah, so this, I think, what did I learn from this one? So, yeah, I think if I learn anything from this jumper, it's that every fibre feels different. I don't know. I did. I think I enjoyed the planning and the spinning more than the actual wear that I get out of this one. But I think it's because I haven't worn it yet, so I can't say to that. So that guys is all of my jumpers. I don't know if that was any help to you whatsoever, or if it was even interesting, or but you know, it's really, really nice to actually sit down and reflect on everything that I've managed to achieve over the past couple of years, because it's, you know, it's a lot, and I've learned a lot, and yeah, lots of fun. I think the biggest thing that I've probably taken away from knitting all of my jumpers is that I enjoy the long versions. I enjoy I really like spinning. I really enjoy spinning sweaters, but I enjoy the planning. I enjoy the colour planning. And now that I'm in the middle of planning my next sweater, actually it's quite nice to go through the other ones and take away what, you know, try and learn. Because I don't much really. I think if I were going to do certain ones again, I'd probably swatch. I don't swatch, guys. I measure as I go and adjust as I go. But I think, especially probably with this one, which is the most recent jumper that I've done, so I didn't learn very much out of all of those 10 jumpers, did I, when the first one turned out better than the last one. Anyway, I'd probably knit it at a smaller gauge. I think it's quite airy. it needs a tighter gauge. So maybe I should just swatch. I'm just so loath to. I just find that part is it's not a waste of time, because the information that you take from it is probably vital. However, I just think if I start a project and take my gauge as you go, you're still getting a gauge, aren't you? You just might have knit a whole yoke before you realise that you need to rip it all out. So it's probably a good idea to just do a little square instead of a whole yoke. Okay, whatever. Maybe I'll swatch for my next jumper. But yeah, so the next step that I've got myself lots of fibre. I've been trying out lots of different colours, lots of different dyeing techniques. I probably need some more fibre. I really thought I'd be able to get myself a jumper's worth of yarn spun out of what I've bought, but I think I need to do a lot more experimenting before I actually pick it up. But I'll show you a few little bits just right at the end of this video, just to show what I've been doing. Otherwise, the next time we do a podcast, there's going to be so much to show you, because I haven't done any knitting or anything. So the first time I had a go at my colours, I told David to choose, because I bought 10 different colours and they all kind of matched together, and I said just pick 3 and see what they look like, and he picked these 3, which is a coral and supposed to be a colour called shell, and then this greeny. I really liked how it turned out. I tried to do a little bit of a gradient, so it went like a green shell coral, green shell coral. So hopefully that when I spin it up, it will kind of stripe, or at least do some sort of little pattern. Yeah, that was fun to do. This fibre that I've dyed is Polworth and nylon, because I wanted to make some socks. So that was a cool little experiment with the trying the colour. And my next trial colour was these 3 colours. This was, again, I used the shell colour, and I can't remember what the other 2 were called, but there's minty green and like an oceany blue, and I thought, well, it is coastal coloured related. It's the Coastal Colours collection that I bought, like 6 different colours that were supposed to be along the sea. I really, really liked these colours together. I thought they were really, really well. However, when I was dyeing them in the pot, I've got one big giant pot that I do everything in, and I've kind of done all my fibre, done all my colours, and then I tried to turn it over, and all the fibre just kind of fell to bits as I did it. And what did I learn from that? I learned that you don't do it while it's wet. Don't move it once it's in the pot, especially when it's in one giant big pot. Yeah, I just pulled it all to bits. I mean, it will all still spin. I managed not to felt any of it. Guys, I've got that technique down. I'm so happy. So now I just need to be able to play with my colours. I really liked these colours, and I thought I could try and get this kind of effect with the stripes, with these colours, and I got this one. So I went from like the blue to the minty greens, and then the shell at the end. And I did that without turning it over. So actually it's got lots and lots of white still in it. Excuse me. So I think, although I love this colour, I love how subtle it is, I think I'm going to put this particular one back in the pot and do it again. So, and maybe, because I think I like this effect more than this. If I'm thinking about doing a jumper, I think I like the higgledy-piggledy blob of a colour here, blob there, rather than something that can stripe and, yeah, when it comes to doing a jumper. So I think this one's going to go back in the pan. I'm going to add a little bit more of the same colours to it, because I measured it out and everything. I did actual measurements of things so I can repeat these things. That's not normal. I didn't learn that one before. So So yes, so I've been having lots of fun, guys, and my next sweater spin will be on its way soon. But I'm gonna leave this episode here. I have been doing lots of knitting. I've got a few finished objects to show you guys. I'm going to try and get an episode out in the next couple of weeks. It's the school holidays over here in 2 weeks' time. No, the 1st of April. 1st of April is when the kiddos break up and they've got 2 weeks off. And I usually like to spend my 2 weeks with the kids rather than doing knitting content. So it might be a couple of weeks before I see you guys. I think there's probably going to be lots and lots to show you if I have to wait that long. I'll try and get a little episode out maybe next week. We'll see. I am going to be having a shop update on my Etsy shop of all my new bags that I've been making. And I would really like to show you those before the update on the 30th of March. But you can go see those on my Instagram. I keep popping them on my stories if you get to see them. But thank you guys for spending some time with me today. I really appreciate it. I love this community so much, and I'm always happy when we get to interact. So give me a like and subscribe if you want. I really appreciate you all, and I'll speak to you all soon. See you later. Bye.